I'm an artist. You could even say that I'm a paintress, because I paint every now and then. However, in this video I will be more leaning into crafting. And I'm doing a cosplay from the game Expedition 33, which, by the way, won Game of the Year 2025. I know that there's a huge discussion around if the game is good, if the game is trash. Some people like it, some people don't see why people could like it, but that is simply not the topic of this video. I can see why people would not enjoy the game. I personally did, I really did. No hard feelings. Okay?
Dim, dam, dale, dam, varkam, sova donum aeternam, et Gustave dum gardeam, dirim, dirilam, ut sera dolilam, seram, dim, dim, da, 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 dim, da, 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 dim. Da di dum, dim dim da 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 dim dim da 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 dim da di dum. Ton là sera ravi, les-toi assure-moi, gris fera, clair obscur trouveras, tu trouveras effet, clair obscur quoi les ombres tu trouveras sans effet. Clair obscur trouveras, tu trouveras effet. Clair obscur, quoi tu trouveras sans effet.
Now, if I tell people that I want to do a cosplay, they're maybe gonna think Mael, maybe even SKA. But no, the cosplay that I desperately want to do is Lampmaster. Yes, this creature that has 9 arms and no body. Let me explain myself. The soundtrack in this game is absolutely great, and Lampmaster's boss music is something else. It sounds kinda like this. Go listen to the full version to get a better picture. But yeah, that was the reason that compelled me to cosplay Lampmaster. And also, lamps. I think lamps are really aesthetic. Of course, I have a body and not 9 arms. And for my own sanity, I will not hand make 7 arms. So I made a human version. This is kind of what I have planned. It will probably heavily deviate from this sketch, we will see. I handmade only a few cosplays in the past, and even though my skills have improved a bit, they're still on a beginner level, at least the sewing part. So to start off comfortably, I'm gonna make something that I'm certain will work out. The first element is literally just a lantern on a stick. Alright. I almost choked on my own spit. Okay, I bought one of these again. It's a simple broomstick, and I already used 2 of these for Cloud's Buster Sword and the weapon of Aerith. It's out of metal. It doesn't say which metal. It's pretty light, probably aluminum or something. And what is really important here is actually the texture. It's kind of a riffle, and as you can see, the actual lantern has about the same texture. Now, we don't actually have a reference of the proper size of the lantern because, well, Lampmaster is massive and doesn't have a human body. I personally think that this is the perfect length, 130 centimeters. So the top of the lantern is gonna be here. So this is the glowing part. I'm obviously gonna use LEDs, but there's a lot of options. There is something like battery-powered light bulbs, but this is gonna be in the middle. There will not be any space for a light bulb. I'm just simply gonna wrap a light chain around here. I still don't know the English word. It's driving me crazy. What do you think? I have a light stick. I just hope it's bright enough, but probably. Humble beginnings. For the very top of the lamp, I cut out a tiny band of 5mm thick EVA foam. And to properly get it in shape, I first sanded it down to really smoothen the edges. Then I additionally sealed the surface by using this thing here. Makes quite some noise, gets very hot. It is set to setting number 4, which is about this hot. I just attached the whole thing with hot glue, and since the top is still open, I just used foam again, this time a bit thinner, and glued it on top. Now we still have these open cracks that don't look too good, and this is where I usually like to use foam clay. You can manipulate it and soften it with water, even though, well, my pack has been in usage for 2 years and it is slowly starting to dry up completely. There's only a little bit of foam left. But anyway, I was able to get some little pieces, smudge them into there, put some water on top, and now it looks really smooth. For the lid of the lantern, I just used very thick cardboard. I kind of cut this circle, then I cut the circle in half, put a little hole inside because we need to put it on the stick, then made that 4 pieces, and they're not perfectly aligned, but it's fine. And that is where my mathematic powers come in. High school mathematics. I kind of calculated the 2D form of a cone, and it has the perfect shape. It is wide enough, but somehow not high enough, because I think I kind of measured it wrong. We have a gap up here, and I'm also realizing that the top part of my version of the lantern is way bigger than the actual version. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I sealed the gap with foam clay and covered up the cardboard edges with foam again. And then additionally we have these little ornaments that look kind of like crowns. For those I simply used foam again. And well, now we have this funny looking thing. I'm already gonna add some color. So let me quickly set up a place to spray. Welcome to my humble spraying place, which is just the floor. Why am I spraying on the floor? Well, I've learned my lesson. Really important, both windows are open, protection for my lungs, and I have 2 sprays. First of all, this one is called liquid gum. It is actually for car priming, but I use it for foam priming, and black spray paint. I sometimes have this issue where I'm really impatient, and especially when I'm priming, I touch the surface to see if it's already dried up, and usually it's not, and then it's like the surface gets really uneven. But this time the surface here is too even and I need it to be uneven. So I will kind of smudge it a bit. And I should probably not use my bare hands. I'm just gonna use a piece of foam, a piece of cardboard. Should be fine. It is horrible to wear this with glasses. I don't know if this is working. Time for color. I'm spinning it because I don't want gravity to pull the paint to a certain point. Now how do I spray the open areas? I cannot spray like this. It will go all the way over there. Perfect. It's slowly coming together. And I did some changes because the original lantern is like round, like the glass is round, and that would be mathematically and crafting wise be much more of a challenge because the shape is ever so slightly tilting down. Yeah. So I just decided to go with a classic 4-sided lantern shape. I first made the frame and I actually just cut it out of black watercolor paper. It's pretty sturdy. And then to fill it out, I cut out some shapes out of a transparent polycarbonate sheet. And yes, it's actually transparent. This is just the protection layer. And we don't want it to be transparent. We want the light to scatter. I simply used my primer again. I somehow discovered it by accident, but if you spray the primer on the sheets, you actually create a milky glass effect. I quickly assembled everything with hot glue. Well, more or less quickly. The battery of my hot glue gun went empty again, of course. So it took me quite some time. Anyway, I have to put a light source underneath. I just used some lights on a wire that I still don't know the English name of. But then when I slid the frame onto there, it looked quite unrealistic because you can actively see that it's not a light bulb. As a solution, I just scrunched it all together a bit, and despite probably needing to change the batteries, it looks pretty fine. Now to close it off, I just have to add another set of cardboard half circles, with one of them having a slot for the battery case, and then again cover up the edges, but this time with some insulation bands. And now I have to get kind of creative to think of what to do with the rest of the lantern. And I think the key to that is to get a good night's sleep. See you tomorrow. Well, I have a problem. We'll come to that right away. First of all, I continued finishing the base with some cheap packaging material that I kind of carved in to curl it better so I could wrap it around the stick. And I have to admit it was a bit challenging to glue because I tried hot glue, but it just made the material melt and then harden and not stick to each other. So I just used tiny wooden sticks, put them into the material with hot glue, and then kind of closed it off like this. I did not film it because I thought it would not work, but it worked. And then I just continued on with methods I had already used before, and it all worked according to plan, except the light switch. The light switch broke off. Yeah. And now in order to turn it on, I have to use a toothpick. Now the black color looks good on the lantern, but it's not the final effect I wanted to have. So if you've watched my most recent video, you probably know what I did. I used a pencil out of pure graphite, kind of scraped the surface off so we get graphite powder, then used some microfiber fabric and just smudged it onto the material. Yeah, if you didn't know already, in my last video I built cardboard armor and used the exact same method. But there's 2 improvements I did this time. Last time I used black acrylic color, and this time I used black spray paint. paint. And the black spray paint is a lot more glossy, the surface is more smooth and it works better. And instead of paper towels to smudge the graphite, this time I used microfiber. It works better and it is way less wasteful. To finish it off, because it does make quite a mess, I sealed it with hairspray. And now this is what we have. I did not cover the whole broomstick in graphite because the hairspray is not the best way to seal it and it does come off eventually. So it's just on top, fading into the rest of the lantern. And now you might think that it is finished, but it is not. There's some kind of roots at the bottom. Let me tell you, I'm not quite sure on how to add them yet. I do have an idea though, and I'm gonna try that out right now. So what I'm thinking, first idea, this here. It is quite a big row of some sort of foam. I have no idea, but what I'm gonna do is, first of all, cut one piece off. Hopefully successfully. I do not like how the material behaves. I have even sharpened my box cutter. Fun fact, I used the same blade for 2 years. Okay, it is squishy, that is good, I think. What I'm planning to do is kind of wrap it around here. But in order to make it stay, I need wire. And this has the wrong shape. So first, first I want to kind of cut down the edges to make it more round, especially the tip down here. The tip is more narrow than the rest. Yeah, it sticks to my hand. Stop it. Okay, now that I have this worm, I'm gonna try to put some wire right through it. And I have to get it straight first, and then I have the suspicion that this might not work out. Oh, wait, I think it works, but it's absolutely horrible. I can hear it ripping through the insides. Yeah, no, wait a minute. We need a different approach. I need to open it up. New try. And well, then I guess we close it off with hot glue. The battery is empty. For my own sanity, I need to get a cable-powered hot glue gun. Oh! Let me just take normal glue and see if it works. Contact cement, to the people who know it. I'm not gonna use that. It is toxic. I think that might work. Meanwhile, if you look at the roots, they're kind of bright yellow, glowing-ish, but it's definitely not gray. And of course, I'm not gonna put color on this because it is too rough and the texture is not what I want. So I'm gonna cover it in fabric. Kind of this much. No, less. Way less. Yeah, even the texture is good, I think, but the color is not yet. I'm probably gonna cover it in a bright yellow tone with some gold sprinkled on top of it. Artistic freedom. Let's see what I can do with this. To paint the fabric, I made some kind of color potion. The base is water, then I added yellow acrylic paint, white paint to make it pastel, golden glitter transparent acrylic paint, and metallic golden acrylic paint. I mixed it all together and just glazed it over the fabric. The glitter intensity is just wonderful. And since I tend to be a bit impatient, I sped up the drying process with my heat gun. Once it was finally dry, I just had to put the gray worms, the base, into there. I closed it off with fabric glue and then simply bent them and attached them to the stick with hot glue. It's as simple as that. I'm pretty satisfied with the result, and that is the first element of the cosplay that is finally done. And now I have to make 3 more lanterns. Yippee. Yeah, but first I should probably clean up. You never saw this, okay? Before I add the 3 other lanterns, I'm taking care of only so little detail, but still important accessory. What I'm talking about is the bandages that you can see on the arms here. As a material, I can use actual bandages because I really need that texture here. Now multiple problems. This is white, but it needs to be gray. And I fear that if I put acrylic color on here, the stretchiness is gonna get lost. So let me first test it and then we'll see. Yeah, it works. It stayed stretchy. So I immediately made more. And it's incredibly simple. I just mixed acrylic paint with water, painted it over the bandages, and every now and then I squished the water out of there. Because first of all, it saves paint. Second of all, the texture doesn't get too firm. And of course, it dries way more quickly. I additionally soaked in some of the paint water with paper towels to make the texture a bit more interesting. I just put it on the radiator and that is what we have. Now I can just arrange them on my arms however I like. And before you ask why not use fabric dye, I only know fabric dye coming in big packs. And buying and using all that for 2 bandages is a bit too much. So if you know any brands or methods on how to dye fabric in small amounts, write a comment. I'd really appreciate it. Now there's not much to the outfit of Lamp Master because again, it doesn't really have a body. It's basically just a black cloth with a hood, which means that I actually have a lot of freedom to design the outfit. Of course, it's gonna be all black, so this is my base outfit. And as a first item, I'm choosing this semi-transparent black skirt, which I really like the look of. And then to kind of already veil myself into black fabric, I'm adding a simple black cape to make the cape look less store-bought and cheap. On top, I'm layering a simple piece of black fabric that kind of already has frigid edges. To shape the outfit a bit, I'm adding a belt that's just a simple cloth tied around my waist. And to finally give myself that mystical hooded look, I'm adding this piece of fabric here that's pretty transparent. I'm folding it here to give it a bit more substance, which is not easy. So the fabric has a pretty strange behavior. And I'm basically layering it on top of my head and the rest of the fabric to blend into it. This arrangement is my first idea of how I could design the outfit. The clothes I assembled here are all separate pieces that I found in our basement, and it pretty much already looks the way I want the finished result to look. Of course, with some tiny adjustments here and there. Now let me think, because I need to make the lanterns. And you maybe know that it's 4 lanterns and I don't have 4 arms. One of them is the one that I already made, kind of like a weapon. The second one is definitely a weapon, but there's 2 more, just simple lanterns that Lamp Master just has in their hands like this. Now how I want to approach this is a bit of an improvisation. I just simply want to attach them to my body. One's probably gonna be on the hip and the other one, I'm gonna wear it like a bracelet. I have no idea if that's a good idea yet. So yeah, the only way on how to approach that is just to start somewhere. Now this lantern is an octagon, which is why, well, the base has the shape of an octagon, but I still used about the same construction techniques as before. This knob at the bottom, I made it out of foam clay that I got from an entirely new package of foam clay. It was about time. Since I have enough foam clay now, I also used it to smoothen the edges in the gap you can see here. Now there's something about this lantern that is a bit weird, because not all of the walls are transparent, so I had to improvise. First I didn't quite know what material to use, but then it clicked. I just used watercolor paper again, kind of cut it out, layered it, glued all of the pieces to each other, and to fancy them up a bit, I painted them bright silver on the outside. I also painted the insides gold, because it reflects the light a bit more and gives it kind of a warm look. Because I bought new lights and they're a bit colder, like a tiny bit. Before I assembled everything, I fancied up the edges with, you guessed it, black watercolor paper. Now, I do love my hot glue, but it doesn't exactly make the whole thing sturdy. And since I don't want the roof of the lantern to just rip off, I put some wire through the entire top part. And now all the weight is like on the wire. Of course, I also added graphite powder and then just constructed a little stick out of cardboard and attached some lights to it to simulate a light bulb. I glued everything together and lantern number 2 is done. I can just hang it here. Ta-da! Now I still have one problem because it is hanging here. It is great that it can do that, but it's just this tiny piece of wire up here. And if I want to hold it, I have to hold it like this. The original model has some kind of round chains, and I do not know how to approach this yet. So let me get to work and think of something. Ah, hot glue. Ooh, I have wire here. It is sturdy if there's a lot of it, but it is not sturdy if there's not a lot of it. And of course it's way too thin. I was thinking of putting foam clay around a wire, but somehow I do not like this idea. I was also thinking of cutting out cardboard circles and then putting foam clay around it, but I'm scared that they will just rip. I'm gonna think of something, don't worry. I just have to take a look into my chamber. But don't worry, I'm good at improvising. I just have to yeah, the idea hasn't formed yet. You know what? I'm gonna eat lunch, then my brain will activate. So I have been thinking. At the moment I'm planning to put the lantern on my arm, but I think that I just don't want to do that because I tried it out. I tied it to my arm. It's getting into my way. Now on my right hand I will probably have this, which will make it even worse. And then here I have another lantern. Maybe I'm gonna put it on my left hip, but way more down. That should honestly be easier to attach than on the arm. I was stressing about that the whole week. Yeah, but now I still need to make the rings. I'm not gonna make as many as are shown here. I'm probably just gonna make 2. So the color of the wire doesn't matter. I have more of this. It's aluminum wire. It's pretty soft. And that's exactly why I need 2 layers that I'm now gonna twirl, because it deforms very quickly. It's pretty relaxing. Luckily for me, it doesn't have to be even. I think the diameter is a bit smaller than planned, but that's not a problem. Now here's the tricky part. I want to put foam clay around it, and I somehow have to wrap it around there while it's in the lantern. Okay, let's close it off. Let's just do something. It will work out eventually. It's kind of better than expected, but also kind of not. I can't explain. The foam on the bottom here is parting, but that's probably not an issue. Yeah, there it is. I covered it in graphite powder, and that took me a day. One of my shorts is blowing up, and it's the one where I'm using graphite powder to simulate a metal look, and people seem to hate it. But I like the end result, and it's just the internet. A lot of random people having a lot of different opinions. Anyway, the fact that I can hold the lantern like this makes me really happy. And I'm probably gonna actually attach it to my waist when I put the whole thing together. Well, it's finally time to build lamp number 3. And I've been avoiding it because it is round. But I do have a plan. It's just that the diameter is way too small. But still, let me sacrifice 25 cents to find out if I can use this. Any people with perfect pitch? Oh, I need to visualize something. The shape is kind of like this. Like a tulip, and then there's like the frame. Now this is not really given here. This is shaped like a cylinder, and this is, you can see the shape, it's not this one. But maybe I can change something. I originally wanted to buy a transparent warbler, but my, is it pricey. Okay, let's go, let's cut it down. First here. Whew, no, I'm breaking it. I was thinking to maybe kind of put it together like this, but I don't like the idea anymore. It doesn't create a smooth transition, but rather a bumpy one. I am, however, not gonna let that stop me. I can make it wider. And for that, I'm gonna sacrifice another 25 cents. Now I can make it wide enough, but it's not tall enough. This shape is less accurate and it has the bottle texture, but I think it's worth trying. Sorry, I just lack the confidence today. My fear of people thinking that I produce trash is very active right now. Okay, my camera turned off on itself. That's probably a sign. Yeah, sometimes all you need is a good night's sleep, which I had, and now I feel better, way better. I actually did a lot of progress. Continuing with the bottle, I tried to shape it with heat, but it's soft plastic, so it kept warping into weird shapes, and I tried to even it out, but no chance. I was trying to form it in the first place because the bottle's natural shape was bending a bit too much and the diameter was too small, so I tried to open it a bit, but I ended up solving it. Before I did that, I just sprayed the inside to make it look milky, just like with the glass before. And then I used my jewelry set and kind of used wires and those soft rubber pieces to really secure everything, and it works. It's good enough, honestly. So fast forward, we have the plastic translucent body, and kind of just like before, I made a bottom part with lights attached to it, the top part, and 3 foam strips that will act as a frame. And yeah, what can I say? I finished it. The only thing I had to add in the end was foam clay to close all the gaps. And yeah, you can actually attach materials to the plastic with hot glue because the heat makes the plastic melt the glue into it. Just be cautious because the plastic underneath is going to warp because of the heat. Only ever so slightly, but yeah. I did leave my foam package open overnight, my newly bought foam package. I am beyond mad. Anyway, I now have to take care of the final lamp. Now we have lamp 2, lamp 3, lamp 1 on a stick, and lamp number 4 is attached to a sword, which the blade of is longer than the entirety of this. But mind me, don't mind me, I'm going to make it shorter than that, because like, I'm not insane, maybe a little bit. Now, not only do I have to make a katana somehow, if that can be classified as a katana, but also the lamp is probably the most detailed and hard to build. I should probably start with the blade. This is the last stick of hot glue that I possess. I have to go shopping anyway. Actually, I got the perfect piece of cardboard here. Ow. And surprisingly, the lantern stick fits perfectly into it. Now, theoretically, I could make the blade exactly this long, but do I want to? Well, first I need to take it apart to even access it. Alright, it is perfectly firm now, and it will lose this firmness once I cut it out. Because now it is no problem to... Forget what I said. That's exactly the problem. The structure of the cardboard is going into this direction and not into this direction, what I would ideally need, so it will just break way easier. Which is why I need multiple layers. Still, I'm gonna sketch something. I don't know, how do I measure the curve? Like, how do I make the perfect curve? Okay, the curve is pretty prominent here, but down here it just gets straight. I don't want that. Let me try to use numbers. I found a solution. And by the way, I'm wearing pants and comfy socks. So the solution is maths. To the people that say that you don't need mathematics, especially geometry in later life, you're not right. in every case. I actually don't know how to say this in English. So I used the E-Funktion and then I scaled it up. So every 1 centimeter on the screen is 20 centimeters on the cardboard. And it works because I noticed that katanas actually have the same thickness all up to the end. And then you can like close it off like this. It's not 100% accurate as you can see, but overall I feel way better with this instead of freestyling a curve. Let's start cutting. Yes, it doesn't have to be perfect, you know, but it should somehow look good. Do you see this curve? I see it too. Whoa, I think the angle on the top is too steep, but that's okay. I can change that later. That is a long blade. Whoa, sorry. Now, we have one layer, which is of course not stable. So I'm gonna add one more layer on each side. And looking at the reference and katanas in general, they're not gonna cover the whole sword, just half of it. I love when I have elements that can touch my camera. Why is my camera so far away today? Weird. And the battery's empty. Oh. I tripled the thickness of the blade and then sanded down the back so it would all be even. I know katanas are not that thick, but it is sturdy and that's the most important thing for me. And yes, it made quite the mess. Now, before I continue, how is the blade gonna be connected to the handle? Well, smart as I am, I bought a PVC pipe intersection. I need 4 openings, basically across, and the one I bought has 3. My brain kind of went on vacation when I bought it. But you know, that's not a problem because I can just carve an opening. I have a Dremel after all. I have to admit though, I'm a bit terrified of the blade. Just a bit. Once that was done, I needed yet another solution because the cardboard, despite being layered, is still cardboard. And since I narrowed it down on the end a bit to fit through the pipe, it started to bend and eventually will just break. So I simply stabilized it with wooden sticks. And now it's pretty firm and I can continue on to seal the back with watercolor paper again. I know, I'm using it quite a lot. And then additionally cover the blade with the same paper. And I'm currently very happy because I bought new hot glue and now I have 40 sticks. I can once again touch the camera with it. It is pretty sturdy and the pipe should fit. Wait a minute. Should fit perfectly. Look at this. The bottom part of the sword looks like this. And well, I bought PVC pipe, but somehow it's a bit thick. I went to the hardware store to buy this, right? And it took me 30 minutes to find this. And hot glue. I have a terrible sense of orientation, if you didn't know already. And the people working there they looked like they were so close to asking if I needed help. But I found what I was looking for eventually, kind of. And I even bought 2. This one's gonna be cut in the middle. In the end, it'll look like this. And this one's gonna be, well, just on here. Let me just see if I'm able to attach it. Because ideally, this should stick to each other or not. Oh, I think it works. I just need to kind of really use force. Okay, now moment of truth. It doesn't even fit into the frame. It is pretty light too. Wow. Like also when I'm holding it here, it is not as heavy as you'd expect it to be. I'm guessing it's probably 170 centimeters long. Now I just need to cut this. Preparations were made. I marked the pipe. I rolled up my sleeves. Safety equipment and my Dremel with a PVC specialized blade. The mask and the glasses are important because there will be pieces flying around, like hot PVC pieces. They will probably get on my skin and it will hurt. Ow, okay. But it's okay. It's only temporary. Let's start. Yeah, that's already looking good. I just don't want all this material to build up here. I hereby formally apologize to my neighbors. Haha! Yeah. I have to admit, I still think it's scary, but I did it. I faced my fear. And look how evenly it's cut. If you remember last time, that is a really big improvement. Look at this! I probably need to cut off the edges too, but you know, I have a pretty solid base. Wow. I now want to amplify the blade because yeah, this needs to be fixed. And I decided to cover it in foam clay because I want to texturize it. But not today, because my plan is to cover the blade, the non-white part, in foam clay, then form a ball of aluminum foil and roll over it to give it texture. Problem is I don't have aluminum foil here, and this is a pretty good point to just take a break. I now have a ball of aluminum foil, and it took quite some time, but I was able to texture the entire blade on both sides. Obviously the base of the blade is basically finished, and the top part, well, let's fast forward a bit. Let's just say I reached some kind of flow state and everything went by pretty quickly, and I kind of managed to complete it. The only thing left to do was covering it in color, and let me tell you, that was so close, because I was running out of color and the can actually went completely empty while I was spraying the sword. So I simply covered the rest in acrylic paint, but you'll never know which part. And yeah, I have to admit the top part is looking kind of sloppy, because not only are the measurements all over the place, but also the light's kind of shining through areas where it should not shine through. But from afar, it looks acceptable, and that's all we need. I mean, it's stable, it looks close to the actual thing, and I couldn't be more proud. Now, this is the end of the video, and I was actually planning to film and edit it in the span of 2 to 3 weeks. I think this is the 6th week. The idea of covering the songs kind of came in the process, and everything that you saw in this video. And on top of that, I caught a little cold, and I think I busted my eardrum yesterday, so I'm hearing myself. It's all pretty weird today. Like, things are a bit more muffled on this side. I was just blowing my nose casually, you know? I don't know what happened, but if it continues to be like this in the next few days, I might have to go to the doctor. And additionally, there was a lot of things happening in my private life. Most of them are actually positive, but of course it interfered with the production process of this video. The next one is probably not going to take this long. But yeah, first of all, I will take a little break, rest, take care of my eardrum, and we will see each other. You will see me whenever I have produced a video again. So thank you for watching. Tell me your opinions on this video style in the comments, but please be nice. And yes, have a nice day, evening or night, and see you next time. Bye. Oh, and by the way, the light switch also chipped off here, and I have it on camera. Yay.